Well, it is another hot and muggy day here in the beautiful state of Indiana, and I'm currently standing in the middle of Dragging Up Junkyard to grab our next project. Now, some of you might recognize this tractor, and for those who don't, let me refresh your memory. You guys are looking at my 1995 Wheelhorse 416H. Now, this wouldn't be the first time this tractor has been on the channel, nor would it be the second time. This would actually be the third video on this tractor. Now, when I first bought it and brought it home, I brought it home with the expectation of doing a revival on it, getting it up in top condition, getting it working again. And for those who watched the first video, you realized pretty quick that that wasn't going to happen. We actually found some pretty catastrophic engine problems, and it went on the back burner. Now, in episode 2, I had devised quite the scheme to take two Onan engines and combine them into one good one. We pretty much did a low buck rebuild on this thing and got the engine running mint. Now, unfortunately, when I finished that video, because it was kind of the middle of winter, I drove it outside and parked it right here where it's been sitting. So this video, after a year, we are finally going to give this thing the attention it deserves, get it cleaned up, get the deck working. I have got a nice new set of wheels and tires for the back. We're going to put a new battery in it. We're going to replace the seat, and we're going to do a full service on this thing and hopefully get it back into working condition. So, enough story time. Let's get this thing fired up and get it pulled in the garage. Well, let's see if this thing still runs as good as I remember it to. And hopefully the gas ain't bad. We have got the tractor in the garage, so now we can really take a look at it. Now, I know this thing looks pretty rough. I mean, it is definitely in need of a wash job. But really, guys, it's not in that bad a shape. It's all there for the most part. It's a pretty solid tractor. It just needs some TLC. Yeah, can you tell this thing's been sitting a long time? It's got trees starting to grow out of the seat. Now, like I mentioned, we did go through the engine on this thing, so we really don't have to worry too much about that. I'm just mostly wanting to focus on the rest of the tractor. Important stuff like servicing the rear end, considering this one has not been done for, what's that say, 2005, so over 20 years now. That filter has not been changed. So that's on the list. I'm also planning on fixing the lights. I'm also going to show you guys a pretty cool upgrade you can do on your headlights. And for those who watched the second part of the series on this, you saw I went through and cleaned up the wiring harness, gave this thing a bare bones necessities only harness. I just want to go through and cut out some of the stuff we're not going to be using, just clean it up a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and start with getting the deck pulled off and out of the way, and then we can focus on the tractor for now. Well, that wasn't too bad. For whatever reason, I always fight with pulling these decks. It's like I always forget they got to come out the driver's side, not the passenger side. But overall, this deck doesn't look terrible. It's got a couple holes, got one there, one there, one there. But we're going to do a deep dive into this deck later. So let's get back to the tractor. Well, I got the back end of the tractor jacked up. Let's go ahead and get these old wheels and tires off. You know, these wheels are actually in really good shape. I'm definitely going to hang on to them. And how about this side? You guys see that? That's quite the, was that a mud dopper nest? On top of wanting to pull these, because I need to change them, we're also going to be servicing this rear end. It's a lot easier to get to that filter with these out of the way. Yeah, these wheels are in really good shape, guys. To be honest with you, I just really don't feel like putting a tube in these. nor do I feel like spending $200 on new tires, so that's why I'm swapping them. But I'm for sure going to hang on to these. There's a cricket. It has been about 3 days since that last video you guys just saw, and I came out here to the garage to work on this thing, and I was surprised to see this giant trail of oil. I threw some oil dry on it and I got my pan put under it, but I'm not sure where that's coming from. I checked the usual places on the engine. The only place I think it could be coming from is behind the flywheel, but it doesn't make any sense. We replaced all these gaskets and it wasn't dripping when it was running. So I don't know, but let me show you this. I pulled the dipstick on this, and it's hard to get this to pick up on camera. This thing looks way over full on oil. See that there? Yeah, that's like double where it should be at. And it doesn't smell like gas. It doesn't look milky. I mean, this was fresh oil we put in it when we rebuilt the engine. So now I'm sitting here questioning myself like, well, 8 months ago, did I overfill this engine? I don't know. I mean, not a big deal either way. I do plan on go ahead and changing the engine oil anyway. So hopefully that's all the issue was. If not, we'll have to keep an eye on that leak and see if it's a persistent issue or not. I know we're jumping around quite a bit here, but I want to go ahead and switch gears and get this wiring done on these lights. In order to do that, I want to pull the seat pan off, get the battery out of the way. The seat needs to come off anyway because we're going to change it. So first off, we're going to get the battery off. And I did happen to see what looked to be a big spider in a web on the other side. So I soaked everything with brake clean. Hopefully I scared them off, but if not, you guys are going to see me scream like a girl. Now, I never wear gloves when I work on stuff. Well, I shouldn't say never. For the most part, I don't wear gloves. But in this case, I've got myself psyched out thinking it's a brown recluse, because we do have those in this area. And the web kind of looked like a brown recluse web, so let's hope not. Sometimes I forget I have power tools. Yeah, I think it's safe to say this seat's seen better days. When I put this new seat on, I'm probably going to do away with these seat springs. I've never been too crazy about them. As you can imagine, I need all the clearance I can get between my gut and the steering wheel. I noticed when I was playing with that seat that this seat pan itself felt kind of wobbly. And this right here is the culprit. We have got a loose, actually we've just got a bolt missing a nut. This is what holds the tank bracket assembly to the chassis itself, so we'll have to tighten that up. But I'm just going to go through and clean this up a little bit. Don't want to get too crazy with it. So y'all remember a minute ago when I said I was just going to tap into the factory wiring? Yeah, well, I forgot I'd worked on this, and I actually snipped the wiring harness from here going forward when I pulled the engine out the first time. So made a new little harness, single wire. We're going to run this back to the rear. I'm just going to put this to the switch and feed the switch off the battery, blah, blah, blah. And on the taillight side, we'll just tee off this and ground the lights themselves to the seat pan. So, which I'm not too happy about it, because now I got to stick my hands in here with all the creepy crawlies. Now on the front end, it'll be much simpler, because luckily I didn't chop this. This green wire here is the power feed. They actually run this through the engine harness. That way you don't have extra wires looping places. And the black wire grounds out right here in the cylinder head. So all I got to do is plug this back in, and then I just got to put power to the tractor side of the engine harness, and the headlight should be handled. Now this is the old headlight switch that came off the tractor, and it's not in too bad a shape. These are kind of funky because they mount these, where they put these in the dash, it's directly on the other side of where the motion control rod linkage is. That's why these have these special terminals that go straight down and straight off to the side. So I could just drill a new hole and put a new switch in it if I need to, but I wanted to bench test this and let's make sure it's good before I wire all this up. I've got the voltmeter set on a 200 ohm setting. So that's with the switch on. Now we're showing what? 0.4, 0.5 of an ohm. Now let's turn the switch off and it goes to open, which is what we want. So switch is good. Well, the wiring on the tractor is done for the most part. I've got our new wire ran all the way up. I've got it tied into this green wire right here, which runs all the way down to connect to the front headlights. I have got those two teed together, going to one end of the 2-post switch. Then I've got another wire coming off, going up, and it's this wire right here. This is going to be our feed. Now, technically, I should probably put an inline fuse on this. I'm going to recommend that you guys do that, but I'm not going to. Also, we are going to be converting these, what would be the old incandescent, to LED, so it's going to draw a lot less current and a lot less power. So this little wire should be able to handle that just fine. But yeah, if you guys do this, put a fuse in line. Speaking of LEDs, we're going to go ahead and get these old lights knocked off. These old crappy ones, what's left of that one. And we'll get the new LEDs put on. I'll tie them in together. We'll get it all dressed up. Now, as far as the lights goes, these are just run-of-the-mill LED replacement, but they are the same size and shape as the OEM, so we won't have to drill new holes. Well, here's my plan. You guys know how much I like using my pop rivets. So we're going to feed the wires through one of these holes. Now there is a gap behind this light, so these wires will have some breathing room. We'll push our pop rivets through. And on one side, I'm going to use a washer. On the other side, I also took my flap disc and ground the paint down so we've got a good contact to ground. We try to do this with only 2 hands. There we go. Seat pan wiring is pretty much done. I think it turned out pretty good. Got a quick connect here, so that way if I want to pull the seat pan off again, you don't have to cut any wires. So now we can go ahead and put our new lenses on and move on. Oh yeah, look how nice and shiny those are. Makes the rest of the paint look like crap. Now before we go putting this on, I do want to go ahead and service a rear end on this thing. It's just a lot easier to get to the filter with the seat pan off, so I guess we'll do that next. Now as long as this thing hasn't leaked down over the last, 20 years, we should get close to a gallon of oil out of this. Hopefully we see nice clean fluid. Oh, that is not nice and clean. Oh no. We got a chocolate milkshake. Yeah, that is a pretty good sign that this thing has probably been underwater. I'm looking up top here. The fill tube doesn't look like it's got a hole in it, and it's had the seat pan on it. That's the only explanation I can think of, is that that thing's been underwater. Yeah, we'll get that fluid drained. We'll get that filter off and hopefully extend that thing's life a little bit longer. It's a wheel horse filter. Oh man, that is nasty. Well, I got the drain plug put back in. I got our new filter put on. Yeah, I know it's a Fram. Don't judge me too much. Oil type on this, the hydrostatic units, they take 10W30. If this was a traditional 8-speed, it would take gear oil. And mentioning that, I noticed when I was draining my pan here that it kind of smelled like gear oil. So I wonder whoever serviced this last, or they didn't top it off and put gear oil back in, I don't know. So with a filter, this thing should consume about 5 quarts. If you've never done this, it is a painful, slow going process. So I'm probably ended up cutting out a lot of this. I'm gonna start filling this and I'll bring you all back probably next year when I'm done. Yeah, it took forever, but I finally got all 5 quarts shoved in that rear end. I did throw the battery back in the process. I ended up starting the tractor and working the hydraulics, and that seemed to work best to get it drained. But we're ready to put the seat pan back on with our fancy new lights. Hey, look at that. Headlights are working too. And while the engine's got some heat in it from changing the rear end oil, let's go ahead and drop this engine oil. I'm really hoping that we're going to see that I overfilled it. But since it's technically a fresh rebuild, we needed to go ahead and change it anyway. I do have a nice Wix 51516 to replace that Fram, so we will get this put in. Like I mentioned, this calls for right around 2 quarts of 10W30. And to make sure I don't overfill it, I'm going to measure out every ounce I dump in here. Well, now that we got the engine oil changed, we go ahead and move on to something else, and that something else is going to be this seat. This is just another good used one I had sitting around on another parts tractor. It's not perfect. It's got some tears in it here and there, but it's a lot better than the other one. Now, like I mentioned, the other seat did have the seat springs on it. I'm not going to reuse that, but we are going to reuse this factory seat bracket, and Wheelhorse made it very simple to do so. So this is the orientation it would have been with the seat springs. As you guys can see, this seat is not going to fit down here because of this raised edge. Now, I'll show you how easy this is. All you need to do is flip it over. We also need to take this seat assist spring. We'll put it over here on this side. There's already a hole drilled in the seat bracket. Very simple. So now we've got a nice flat mounting surface for our seat, and yeah, it should look a lot better. Well, we're moving right along on this thing. I think we're ready to go ahead and put some wheels and tires back on it. And this is what I've decided to use on the rear. So not only do these have the matching tread for the front tires that are on this thing now, they are just your standard 23, 10, 50, 12. I believe these are, yeah, the turf tracks. But what makes these special is the wheels themselves. These are actually a very deep offset wheel. About the only places you could get these wheels new, I believe, are on the 520s and some workhorse models. So they should look pretty good on this tractor. I know everyone's got their own opinion, but I think these big old wide meat hooks look a lot better than them skinny ones. Well, there's really only about one more upgrade I want to do to this thing before we take it outside and change gears to working on the deck, and I want to upgrade the headlights on this thing. Now, if you've been with the channel for a while and you watched the 314 diesel build, these are the exact same headlights I installed in it. You can get these off Amazon Prime, and the part number is where's it at? Nope, not there. Right there, a PAR 36. These are a drop-in LED replacement for those halogen bulbs. So I'm gonna get these tossed in and I'll do a little comparison to show you guys how much brighter these are. All right, everybody, this is the old halogen. Go ahead, Landon. So not bad. I mean, again, we're in complete darkness, but now let's see what the LEDs look like. And for the LEDs, go ahead. Oh yeah, those are nice and bright. And like I just showed, guys, you don't have to modify anything. They literally drop right in place on your 300 to 500 series wheel horses. All the factory connections work, and it is a huge upgrade. I want to say they're like 20 or 25 bucks off Amazon, and like always, I will put the link for those in the description. All right, Lana, let's get this thing out of here so we can work on that deck. It's all you. You got to start them young, guys. Hey, good job. You're getting better at that. You didn't hit nothing. That's what's important. I know it's not as fast as your four-wheeler, but it's teaching you how to drive with the steering wheel. Well, guys, our team racing driver agrees. It's perfect. I've been walking around this deck just kind of taking it all in, getting a look at it. And surprisingly, this thing is in really good shape for its age. We do have a rust hole there and there, but really that's not bad. This deck does have the rounded edge with the round stock welded to it. These are a little bit stronger than the other ones. And believe it or not, it actually still has both covers. That's, I don't want to say they're rare because they made millions of them, but typically these get taken off and tossed in the old scrap pile, so it's pretty cool to actually have these. But all the deck rollers appear to be on it. Some of these are pretty worn down, but they are there. I did notice in a couple spots we've got some funky hardware. This is supposed to have a spacer in there to keep that tolerance tight, like this side over here. So we'll have to do something about that. But yeah, it looks like it's all there. But the funniest thing to me, like I'd mentioned, I bought this thing well over a year ago, and I bought it for pretty cheap. I don't remember the exact price. I can't keep up. But I just assumed this was a run-of-the-mill 42-inch deck. They're a dime a dozen. I will say they're getting harder to find in this shape, but they are out there. For giggles, I wanted to throw a tape measure on it just to make sure I wasn't lying to you guys. And this thing is actually a 48-inch deck. And for you non-wheel horse guys, the 48-inch deck was the second biggest deck they ever offered, and they're pretty sought after. Like I've talked about before, the spindles are aluminum, they start breaking apart, the deck shells themselves start rotting out. So to actually have a 48-inch deck in this condition, I'm pretty excited about. Now the whole reason I pulled this thing is it would not spin, it was stalling the engine out. Now that I got it off here, it's turning okay, but it definitely has some drag on it. So the issue might have just been the belt stuck on the pulleys. However, if you look in here, we've got some baling wire on this spindle, and down there on that far end, if you guys can see that giant clump of stuff moving down there, we've got like a rug or something on that blade. So I think we're gonna go ahead and stand this deck up, clean the blades off first, and then we'll take these covers off and clean all that junk out. Well, I was wrong, it wasn't a rug. Looks like somebody's beach towel. So we will get all this stuff pulled off. Yeah, guys, even the underside looks good. These spindles ain't too bad. But yeah, get these spindles cleaned up. I'll probably, yeah, them blades are pretty dull. They're not in too bad a shape though. I'll probably go ahead and take these blades off, sharpen them, clean all this up, and we'll go from there.
The 20 car, who had a great start of his own at the drop. So great cruise, a good story. All sorts of racetracks and a tremendous amount of damage for that Toyota.
With the exception of all the trash and garbage built up in here, this deck looks great. We've got our tensioner spring, the pulleys look okay, the belt's not froze up. Yeah, I think our main issue was just the belts were stuck to the pulleys. So I'm gonna go through and clean this up. We're gonna lube that slider up, we're gonna grease these pulleys, and yeah, maybe fix some hardware, and we're gonna be ready to put this back on the tractor. Well, I'd say we got this deck serviced about as good as we're going to get it for now. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing put back on the tractor, and I will bring y'all back when we're ready to test it out. Well, I'd say it's working pretty good, guys. Yeah, I forgot how low these wheel horse decks actually cut. I know that looks really bad, but I've been keeping this grass at like 4 inches this year. That's why it looks like it scalped it. All I did was raise the deck all the way up and did the rest of this. But yeah, it's working great. I ran it about 10 minutes there. No issues. Engine never missed a beat. So I think it's time we give this thing a well-deserved bath. Well guys, while the tractor's outside drying, I wanted to take care of something real quick. So these are actually the center caps that came off that tractor, and I don't know how well it'll pick up on camera. They look faded, and I don't know if this was a clear coat somebody had sprayed on or if this is part of the chrome plating process. I'm not sure. But what I'm going to do, and I already tested out on this one here, it seems to work okay. I'm going to put some of this funky aircraft stripper on it and see if we can't get this dull clear coat off and get it back to looking shiny like that one. This is one of those times I wish you guys could smell what I smell, because this stuff is rank. And funny enough, when I first brought this container home and used it many years ago, it wasn't this dark brown goop look. It was a little bit lighter in color, so I don't know if this stuff's expiring. I don't know. Maybe it's like fine wine. It gets a little bit better with age. Well, they're definitely not perfect, but they are a far cry better than what they were. Took the old pressure washer too. I got most of it off, hit it with a little bit of polish, and they should be just fine. Well, what do you guys think, huh? This tractor has came a long way from the hot mess it was whenever I brought it home. You know, I was thinking some of you guys are probably wondering why the thumbnail said Lakeside on it. So after I finished that first video, believe it or not guys, I go through quite a bit of these things. It's hard for me to keep track of which ones I have and done. So in order to keep track of this one, mentally I started calling it Lakeside, just a nickname I came up with. Technically, it wasn't like it was next to a lake when I bought it. It was just in a certain county that's known for a recreational area and a lake. So I dubbed it Lakeside. And after finding the beach towel on the deck spindle, it definitely seems like a fitting name. Now I know this thing's far from perfect, but my goal with this tractor was to get it back to working condition. And after running around on this thing, I 100% trust this. If I need to go cut grass with it, I know it would do it for me, and it would do a great job at it. Haven't quite decided what I want to do with it yet. Obviously, I don't need it. The whole reason I wanted to get this thing put back together and back to working condition is so I could actually get rid of it, sell it, get a little bit more money for it. But Now that I see that this thing cuts grass beautifully and it's got a nice 48-inch deck on it, I'm kind of partial to it. I don't know, you guys have to tell me what you think I should do with it, if I should sell it or if I should hang on to it for a little bit longer. Just remember guys, if I can do it, you can do it. If you guys are on the fence about getting you one of these, make the leap. Trust me, you won't regret it, and have some fun with it in the process. So yeah, that's going to do it for this one guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.